we are for lesson 2. Today we're going to again start with our word problem. So I need you to get your whiteboards ready. If you don't have a whiteboard, then go ahead and get a piece of paper and a pencil out and set your problem up. Again, when you set your problem up, you set it up just like this. Make a big plus sign in the middle of your paper, and then go ahead and draw a square in the middle. And what that'll do is create your 4 boxes. Here we go. Today's problem is a little different than the ones we had before. So this one you really need to think about what it is that we're doing and how we can solve this problem. It's going to be a little more difficult than to just add 2 numbers together. So let's take a look at what we have. Ted has 4 boxes with 10 pencils in each. How many pencils does he have all together? Now I'm going to give you a clue. We're not just going to say, oh, we have a 4 and we have a 10 and we're going to add 4 plus 10. That's not what's going to happen. So let me show you what we're going to do. I still do want you to circle your numbers if you had this in front of you. And then we're going to underline that word all together because that tells us we are going to be doing some kind of adding, but we're not adding 10 and 4 together. And then we're going to box the question. And now we need to solve our problem. So now let's think about this. If I have 4 boxes with 10 in each, what does that remind you of? In my mind, it reminds me of a 10 frame because I know a 10 frame has a place for 10 things in it. So if I make a 10 frame, that takes care of 10 of them, and he's got 4 of those. So why not make 4 10 frames? Let's do that together. Make sure that you draw it nice and neat. And make sure you put your box around each one. And the reason you want to put a box around each one is so that we know that we've got exactly what we need according to the word problem. So there, we have 4 boxes and we put 10 in each. But that still doesn't tell us how many we have. What do you think the best way for us to do that is? Should we just start counting each individual one? I'm thinking that's probably not a good idea. Kind of like this lesson yesterday where we might lose track or it would just take us a long time. I think it'd be easier if we counted by tens. And we've been practicing counting by tens. So let's do that. So we have 4 tens. Let's count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40. So how many do we have? He has 40 pencils. It's a pretty big number. I don't think we've used anything like that so far. Well, now we need to do our number bond. And you're probably like, well, how are we going to do that? Because there's usually only 2 parts. We're going to adjust it just a little bit just for this one. So I have my total here. And I usually have my 2 parts. But do we have 2 parts this time? No, we have 4 parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add 2 more. The easiest thing about this is they're all 10s. So we'll put a 10 in each. So go ahead and do that with me. Kind of looks like a little octopus or something, doesn't it? So what again we're going to do is we're going to count by 10s. But before that, we need to label it. Now that's the hard part. So I think what I'm going to do is he had 4 boxes, so I'm going to label those by numbering the boxes. So I'm going to label this B1 for box 1. This one will be B2 for box 2. This one will be B3 for box 3. And B4 for box 4. And up here, we're going to label it P for pencils. So let's count by 10s. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40. So we have all 40 of our pencils accounted for down here. And we're good to go. Now, the next part is going to be our number sentence. And again, it's a little longer, but no harder. And it's going to kind of lead us into some upcoming lessons that are going to be taking place. So let's take a look. We know we had 4 boxes of 10. So if I take the first box, I had 10, plus how many were in the second box? 10, plus how many were in the third box? 10, plus how many in the fourth box? Again, 10. So we could again go 10, 20, 30, 40, but I'm going to have you do something a little different. I'm going to have you lump two of the 10s together and see if we can't add it that way. So I'm going to have you put a caret underneath these two 10s, and I'm going to have you put a caret underneath these two 10s. We're kind of connecting them. Now, yesterday's problem was 10 in one hand, 10 in the other. So we know 10 plus 10 is 20, if you remember from yesterday. So I can go 10 plus 10 is 20. And I know this 10 plus 10 is 20. So now I have to add these two together. So watch how I'm going to do this. I know 2 plus 2 is 4. And then I'm going to take my zeros and put it at the end. And again, I get 40. Pretty cool, huh? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a box around this because that serves as a reminder for us to write it in the box. Last, we're going to write our statement. So again, it says, how many pencils did he have altogether? We're going to say, he had 40, we're going to put a box around that, pencils. And put the 40 in the middle. And the one thing you want to make sure you understand is that each of these should match each other. If they don't, there's a problem someplace and you need to go back and take a look. You're not going to fill these in until you solve in each box. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little counting. But the way we're going to count is the way we were learning in school, the 10 way. So we're not going to just say 11, 12, 13, and so on. We're going to remind ourselves that we have to say 10, 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, and so on. So we're going to practice till 20, and then we're going to do the happy counting where I'm going to put my thumb up, thumb down, and go from there. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4, 10, 5, 10, 6, 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9. Do you know what comes next? 2, 10. Because 10 plus 10 is 20, so 2 10s is 20. So there's a reason we're having you do this, and it's going to tie into our lesson for today. But let's do some happy counting. Now this time we're not going to start with 1. We're going to start at 8, and then we're going to go on from there. Ready? 8, 9, 10, 10, 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4, 10, 5, 10, 4, 10, 3, 10, 2, 10, 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4, 10, 5, 10, 6, 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9, 2, 10. Great job. Okay, so now that you've got our 10 way of counting, what you're going to do is apply that when we go into our lesson. Okay, we're ready for our lesson. Let's take a look at our I can statement. This says, I can record a 2-digit number using 10s and 1s. And to let you know what that means, to record something means to write it down in this case. So we need to know how to write a number down using 10s and 1s. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do that. So the first thing I want you to do is take a look at the number 10, okay? Now, if I was going to make the number 12, it looks something like this, right? But how did I make that 12? That's the important thing you need to know. What is 12? Well, take a look. It's a 10 and 2 1s. So one group of 10 and 2 1s makes 12. Well, let's take a look. I have a group of 10 here. So this is what I would call a 10 stick. And that's important for you to know, a 10 stick. And then I would have 2 separate 1s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count it. I'm going to start with my 10s and then go to my 1s. So I'm going to go 10, 11, 12. So that's what 12 looks like. So you can see using the cubes what it looks like, but in numbers it's 12 and then 10 and 2. So how do we record that? Well, we're not going to write 10 and 2 here, because that's not the way it looks. So what we need to do is we need to say, okay, how many groups of 10 do we have for 12? Well, I had one 10 stick, right? So that's one group of 10. So I'm going to put the 1 here. And then I had 2 loose ones. So I'm going to put the 2 here. So 1 10 and 2 1s is 12. And it looks like the number 12. Let's think about that. So if I changed it and I said, okay, I want to build the number 17. I could take my 10, right? And the only digit that changes is my 0. So I know that this looks like the number 17, correct? So now what I'm going to do is take it apart and let's see how we build it. Well, 10, 7 is 17. And isn't that the way we count now? 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4, and then we get to 10, 7. So 10, 7 is 17. So again, I have a 10 stick, which I don't even need to count. I know in a 10 stick there's 10. So I have my 10 stick, and then I have 7 single cubes. So if I'm going to count it, I'm going to count 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So if I come over here, again, I have one 10 stick, and this time I have 7 ones. So I have 10, 7, which is 17. 1 10, 7 ones. It's important for you to know that you're not going to put a 10 here in the tens for one 10 stick. It only wants to know how many 10 sticks. Now, it's time for you to practice. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the workbooks. So I want you to get your green workbooks out, and you're going to open up to page number 6, and it looks like this. Once you have that open, what we're going to do is we are going to do the first problem together. So this is what it looks like. So it says write the tens and ones and say the numbers and then complete the statement. So what it does is it's giving you a picture and it's giving you the statement. But what I added was the tens and ones frame. So what I want you to do is let's first still circle the groups of 10. So what I want you to do is circle this necklace with 10 beads, because we know that that's our group of 10. So how many groups of 10 is that? That's 1. So I want you to write a 1 for the tens. Now we need to count the extra ones. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 ones. So go ahead and write 7 ones. So we're saying 17 equals 110 and 7 ones. And to help you see that a little better, again, I made the tens and ones frame, and you can make this in the corner if you'd like, if there's room. And again, we have one group of 10 and 7 ones. And we see we have the number 17. Not too hard, right? Now, flip your books over, because now I want you to look at page number 7. This is the second page you're going to be working on. So on page 7, we're going to do exactly what we just did. It says, write the tens and ones and complete the statement. But again, I want you circling your groups of 10. The best way you can do math is to stay organized, and I'm going to help you do that. So what I want you to do is I want you to circle your groups of 10 while I do it. Go ahead. I hope yours matches mine. So as I look at this, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3 groups of 10. So I'm going to put 3 in the tens over here. Now I need to count my ones, which are my individual cubes, my extras. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 ones. Go ahead and write that in your ones column. So what number did we come up with? We came up with 35, but let's count it to make sure. And watch how I do this. This is where that counting by tens comes in handy. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. It does match, so on the bottom we can say there are 35 cubes. Now, I need you to understand something. As you're counting, you need to understand that you're going from counting by tens to then counting by ones. You can't keep going and saying 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That doesn't work. You have to stop and think and look at what it is that you're counting. So 10, 20, 30. Now it changes. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So complete pages 6 and 7. Have your parents send me a picture and I'll check it over.